Welcome to the press conference of the Joint Prevention and Control Mechanism of the State Council. The topic for today's press conference is to strengthen the quality management and administration of medical supplies and to regulate the market order. We have with us Madam DG Jiang Fan from the Department of Foreign Trade, Ministry of Commerce, DG Jing Hai from the Department of General Affairs from GACC, DG Liu Weijun from the Department of Certification Regulation of the State Administration for Market Regulation, and Madam Zhang Qi, Deputy Director General of the Department of Medical Device Regulation of NMPA. They will take questions related to today's topic. Let me give you the update of the pandemic. Yesterday, between 0 and 24 o'clock, China's mainland reported that for newly increased confirmed cases, the number is 30, including 25 imported cases and 5 indigenous cases in Guangdong. For new fatal cases, the number is 3, all of them in Hubei. For new suspected cases, the number is 11, all of them are imported cases. Yesterday, for newly increased cured and discharged cases, the number is 213. Close contacts removed from medical observation numbered 1,869, and the number of severe cases dropped by 36. For imported cases, the remaining confirmed cases numbered 697, including 18 severe cases. At the moment, there are 107 suspected cases. In accumulative terms, the number of confirmed cases is 913. The number of cured and discharged cases is 216, and there is no fatal case. By the end of yesterday, China's mainland reported that the remaining confirmed cases number 1,376, including 295 severe cases. In accumulative terms, there are 76,964 cases cured and discharged from hospitals. There are 3,329 fatal cases, and there are 81,669 confirmed cases. For remaining suspected cases, the number is 107. In total, close contacts traced numbered 713,110. For close contacts still under medical observation, there are 17,436. For Hubei, yesterday there is no new confirmed case, suspected case, nor suspected cases remaining. For newly increased cured and discharged cases, the number is 183. For new fatal cases, the number is 3, all in Wuhan. For remaining confirmed cases, the number is 648, including 644 in Wuhan. There are 267 severe cases among these confirmed cases, including 264 in Wuhan. In total, there are 63,945 cases cured and discharged from hospitals and 46,794 cases in Wuhan. The total fatal case numbered 3,210, including 2,570 in Wuhan. The confirmed cases numbered 67,803, including 50,008 in Wuhan. China's mainland reported that there are newly increased 47 asymptomatic infections, including 16 overseas imported cases, and 3 confirmed cases were converted, and all of them were overseas imported. For medical observation, cases removed from medical observation, the number is 50, including 8 of the overseas imported, and 1,024 asymptomatic infections are still under medical observation, including 244 from overseas importation. In total, there are 1,261 cases confirmed and reported from Hong Kong, Macau, and Taiwan, including 862 from Hong Kong SAR, 44 from Macau SAR, and 355 from the Taiwan region. Yesterday, For indigenous severe cases, the number dropped to below 300, and indigenous confirmed cases dropped to less than 700. We can find quite good results of the treatment. Also, we have the national expert team still working in Wuhan and provided personalized treatment to the severe cases. According to WHO, now in the world there are more than 1 million confirmed cases, and it is also emphasizing the importance to trace every contact, treat every case, and follow up with the cured cases. Indeed, there is a pressure on the overseas importation. We need to make good efforts concerning the various steps in the prevention of overseas importation and overcome the gaps. That's all for the update, and now we will have the Q&A. Please focus on today's topic and put forward your questions. Please first identify yourself. Now the floor is open. First question. On the right, on the front row, the second gentleman reporter, please. Thank you. With CNR, Premier Li Keqiang makes it very specific that we should ensure the quality of the products procured by foreign countries and the governments. So what are the measures adopted in this regard? We will have Madam Jiang Fan to take your question. Thank you very much for your interest and support for the ministry, for the work of the Ministry of Commerce. Following the central leadership team against the COVID-19 and the State Council's overall arrangement to intensify the efforts against COVID-19, together with GACC and NPA, on March the 31st, Ministry of Commerce issued a policy circular. This circular specifically instructs that the 5 categories of pandemic prevention and control supplies must get both the quality certificates from the home country and the target country. The GACC will check the certificates before the products are released. So in case of any quality problem, we will have serious investigation and punish the malpractices and safeguard the sound image of Made in China, better supporting the global efforts against the pandemic. Okay, let's continue. On the left, the front row, the first lady reporter, please. With CCTV, due to the pandemic, the international needs for the pandemic material supplies are growing. So how to ensure the orderly export of such materials? We will have DG Jinhai to take the question. Thank you for your question concerning the GACC's work at the moment. It has become an important effort to contribute to the global response against the COVID-19. GACC is earnestly implementing President Xi Jinping's instruction and guidance. We have earnestly implemented the State Council and the CPC Central Committee's guidance to make every effort in this regard. Since March the 2nd, altogether we have released 10.2 billion worth of medical and pandemic control supplies. And we have strengthened the coordination and management of the product export for medical supplies such as the protective gowns, the thermometers, and the masks, and etc. We will check the quality certificates before the products are released. Also, we have strengthened the customs protection of intellectual property right and investigated into any potential violations of such property rights.
For the falsified substandard products and practices, they will be punished according to law. Meanwhile, GACC has been using the hotline 12306 and other channels to deal with the problems encountered by enterprises. Qualified enterprises are provided with good customs clearance services, created a good environment for the orderly exportation of medical supplies, thus ensuring the international community can join efforts to counter COVID-19. Thank you. Next question, please. Journalist from the third row on the right side. China Quality News. Enterprises have to get a CE certificate before products can be exported to Africa. Netizens say some enterprises don't have to get the qualified products as long as they buy the CE certificates. They can export products. So how to deal with such practices? I'd like to ask DG Liu Weijun to take the question. Thank you so much for putting forward a question related to certification. When we talk about certification, we refer to the certification to ensure quality. It is a highly technical concept. I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce to you the quality certification. It is a system carried out to certify the products, the practices, the system of an enterprise that are up to technical standards. Certification efforts and initiatives serve to ensure the quality of products, promote international trade. In China, quality certification is divided into two categories, compulsory ones and voluntary ones. Compulsory certification refers to the scenario that to ensure personnel safety, environmental safety, certain products must get certification before the product can be marketed, imported, or used in business activities. Compulsory certification catalog includes products that are related to people's daily life, including automobile, cell phones, computers, air conditioners, washing machines, and others, which have a close bearing on people's livelihood. I'd like to mention one point in particular. Medical devices, equipments, masks, protective suits, respirators, all fall into the realm of registration by CFDA. So they are under the authority of CFDA, not under the authority of State Administration for Market Regulation. Voluntary certificates and certification refer to the activities carried out voluntarily by enterprises. Coming to CE certification that you've brought forward, to be more accurate, it is not a CE certification system. It is more like a CE signaled entry system. According to European standards, products that are listed in the CE catalog with a CE label can enter into the European market for sales. Appraisal and assessment proves the CE certification and eligibility, but usually there are two kinds of efforts that can prove the CE eligible. It uses the self-declaration of compliance by enterprises. If enterprises can prove that they are up to CE standards, then they can put a CE label on their products and be exported to European markets, but there are also some products that may impose risks if they are not qualified. Therefore, the CE notified bodies are the authorities who are able to provide the CE certificates. So this is the CE certificate that I'm stressing on. Only with the competent authority or notified bodies recognition can you put a CE label. There are also certifications provided by US FDA. Their certification is not the strictly defined certification in the literary sense. It is more like an administrative licensing system. Many countries have the registration management over medical products or medical devices. So they fall into the realm of authority under the competent authorities of FDAs of individual countries. It does not fall into the realm of certification management. So for the problem that you've pointed out, these activities are not limited to certification. Sometimes they fall into the realm of FDA registration. Sometimes it falls into the category of the CE compliance declaration. The nature of certification, the truth, the truthfulness, the effectiveness, the validity of certification are closely related to the quality of the products. That's why State Administration for Market Regulation will have a very severe punishment on violations in certification. Last year, we have found out 87 violator enterprises violating the certification regulations. So they are 15% of the certifying entities. 5 out of the 87 certifying entities have their licenses revoked. There are 2 other certifying agencies, which were foreign certifying agencies. They've moved to China to carry out activities without the approval of the Chinese authority. We have given them online warning. Another example to be shared with you, and that is related to e-commerce, the products on e-commerce platform. As we've mentioned, last year, 17,000 products have been removed from the e-commerce platform, protecting the rights and interests of the consumers. Since the outbreak of the COVID-19, we paid special attention to the certification of medical supplies. We have found out many falsified, counterfeited products and cases. In particular, some ill practices in certifying products that are designed to be exported. The State Administration for Market Regulation attaches high importance to the issue. We will have a thematic campaign to crack down on such behaviors. Shortly before, we've issued a policy circular on State Administration for Market Regulations thematic program of medical supplies targeted for COVID-19 response. The market correction will focus on the cracking down on the purchasing of certificates, counterfeited practices, the substandards in certifying activities, and overcharging in certifying prices. After the punishment is carried out, we will also disclose these wrong practices. You've asked where to go if there is complaints. If there are complaints, well, that is simply addressed. We have 12315 as the hotline to receive complaints and whistleblowing. We on the 12315 online platform, consumers and whistleblowers can file their complaints.
Also, we sincerely hope that the businesses, the consumers, and the related stakeholders can be actively engaged in the market regulation and give us the clues to investigate. Okay, let's continue. On the left, on the second row, the second lady reporter, please. Thank you. With China gateways, my question is for the 5 categories of medical material supplies against the COVID-19. What are the regulatory measures? We will have Madam Zhang Qi to take your question. Thank you. Since the outbreak, NMPA is earnestly implementing the Central Committee CPC and the State Council's instructions and have intensified the quality regulation. First, we have strengthened the quality check for the procurement of raw materials, the manufacturing process, and the out-of-factory release, as well as other key steps in the production and supply. We have strengthened our monitoring efforts and requested the related businesses to conduct their operation soundly, and in case of any malpractices, we will have a serious investigation and held the related parties accountable. Second, we have strengthened the monitoring and also provided the emergency mechanisms to deal with the pandemic and the quality regulation. Altogether, we have supervised 819 batches of such materials or medical supplies, and the results are quite satisfactory. Third, we have strengthened supervision. The NMPA has dispatched teams to 14 key provinces and municipalities, including Guangdong and Shanghai. The quality regulation and the control are being strengthened, and all the details are carefully studied. Fourthly, we have strictly cracked down the malpractices and the illegal behaviors. Together with the related government agencies, we have cracked down the malpractices or the illegal practices. For the related case investigation results, you may find the details in our NMPA website. Fifthly, we have made the timely disclosure of products licensed and registered. The details can be found in the NMPA, and the results of the review and approval can be timely updated and found from our website. Also, we are facilitating the relevant marketing and export. Furthermore, we are cooperating with the sister agencies to ensure the quality control and the quality regulation on the medical supplies, providing physical support to the pandemic response. Okay, let's continue. On the right, on the fifth row, the third reporter in white. Okay, with the Hong Kong-China review. Some people believe that the policy circular was designed to restrict the export of the pandemic response supplies. So is that true? Could you please elaborate on the details? We will have Madam Jiang Fan to take your question. Thank you for your question. Indeed, there have been some arguments or statements like this. However, in China, we have an ancient saying that we should reciprocate other people's kindness when we have the capacity. In our most difficult time, we have received a lot of support from the countries and the regions in the world. So when the situation is improving domestically, we are also trying to offer a helping hand to other countries affected by the pandemic. That's why China will never and has never refused to offer a helping hand. Now in China, we have more than 2,000 eligible businesses who can provide the qualified medical supplies. So I would like to take this opportunity to remind the buyers that they may wish to choose the businesses or producers from the recommended list issued by the NMPA and related government agencies. Now we can see the increasing export of the pandemic response supplies, and we wish to provide more support to the global efforts against the pandemic. Also, I would like to emphasize that the Chinese government has always attached importance to quality of Chinese-made products. The purpose of the policy circular is to ensure the quality of the products, regulate the market and export order, and contribute China's share in the global response against the pandemic. And we are truly honoring our responsibility as a major responsible country in the world. Thank you. On the right, on the second row, the lady reporter, please. With National Business Daily, it is reported in some media that some countries complain about the poor quality of products made from China. What is China's take on that, and what are the measures that the Chinese government is going to adopt to ensure such a complaint will not occur? We will continue to have Madam Jiang to take your question. Thank you for your question. We have already noticed such media coverage, and after careful investigation, we found that some of the media reports are not fact-based, and there are also some media reports have found the causes which are truly unfounded. And also, some of such complaints are not quality issue, are not quality related. Instead, they are about the misuse of the products. For example, not long ago, the face masks exported to the Netherlands was inappropriately used. So I noticed that the health minister of the Netherlands tweeted that the newly arrived Chinese face masks are up to the quality standard and have already been distributed to the related hospitals. China stands ready to work with other countries and other people in the world. We have always attached importance to people's health and the safety. In the context of the global pandemic, we will even adopt more stringent quality standards to ensure the quality. Not long ago, the Ministry of Commerce, together with other sister agencies, issued the policy circular that you have mentioned. The Ministry of Commerce will intensify the regulatory efforts on these products, and we will hold those malpractices be accountable, or we will hold the related businesses accountable. And also, it is an international practice to ensure the quality of the exported products. While we are doing our part, we also hope that the other countries can also monitor the inflow or the importation of the products.
As to the problems cropped up during procurement, we suggest that bilateral enterprises should have a sufficient discussion, look at the contracts, and discuss the disputes settlement. Thank you. Next question, please. Journalist from the fifth row on the left side near the corridor. Thank you. With Xinmin Evening News, we've noticed that some enterprises are exporting medical supplies to other countries. Can we be briefed on the overall exportation of medical supplies? I'd like to ask DG Jinghai to take the question. Thank you for your question. According to the statistics by GACC, since the later half of March, exportation of medical supplies in response to COVID-19 has seen major increase. From March the 1st to April the 4th, medical supplies exported valued 10.2 billion RMB, including 3.8 billion medical masks, 7.2 billion RMB protective suits, 37 million with a total value of 910 million, infrared temperature monitor, a value of 331 million RMB, respirators, 16,000 units with a total value of 310 million RMB. The testing kits, 2.8 million goggles for 84 million. Most of the export were in general trade, which was 83% of the total, with a total value of 8.2 billion RMB. The General Administration of Customs will continue to supervise and optimize the services and support the qualified and eligible enterprises to be engaged in orderly exportation of medical supplies. Thank you. Next question, please. Journalist from the third row on the left side. Thank you. With the Shenzhen Special Economic Zone news, you've mentioned that since the policy circular adoption, what are the matters to be given attention to by enterprises in customs clearance? DG Jinghai is taking the question. Thank you for your question. Recently, we've received similar questions after the policy circular was adopted and announced. The test kits, the goggles, respirators, protective units, masks, and infrared temperature monitors. For these 5 categories of medical supplies export, they need to provide paper and electronic files of declaration promising that these products have got the certification and these products are up to the quality standards of the imported countries. GACC will look at the approved certificate from CFDA and competent authority to register and release the products. We also remind our enterprises to have stricter rules in quality management, adhere to integrity and compliance in their exportation. Prior to the export, they need to prepare the declaration documents, and they need to fill in the blanks like non-medical or medical, the brand names, the specifications, so as to have a smooth customs clearance. Thank you. Next question, please. Journalist from the 4th row on the right side. China Consumers News. Domestic enterprises are exporting to European and U.S. markets, and they have to get CE certificates and U.S. FDA approval. Some enterprises don't know the specific information. They don't know whether they are eligible. Some enterprises ask brokerage agencies for exportation eligibility. Some enterprises have suffered losses. What are the measures adopted by the State Administration for Market Regulation to help businesses to deal with the problems? Thank you. DG Liu Weijun is taking the question. Thank you for putting forward this question. Indeed, China manufactured medical supplies are playing an ever more important role in the COVID-19 response. Countries around the world have an increasing need of medical supplies from China. Most of the products are the medical devices. For example, the products need CE certificates, and FDA need to be up to FDA approval before they can be exported to European and American market. We've also noticed the problem that you put forward. Therefore, State Administration for Market Regulation attaches high importance to the issues you've mentioned. We've adopted active measures to ensure China's products can smoothly enter European and American markets. According to our initial statistics, we've compiled a set of exportation certification guidelines on masks and other protective units, and this includes the requirements from European and American competent authorities. We hope this set of guidelines can provide a convenient cut off to enterprises so that they can accelerate their understanding of exportation pathways. So in these guidelines, you can find requirements from CE certificates and FDA's requirements. The products entering European market need to get the approval from notified bodies. So what are the notified bodies that can be found in China? In our guidelines, we've listed the names of these notified bodies that can be found in China. Besides, ISO 13435 is management standards that are required by some market regulators. So in these guidelines, you can find the list of the agencies who can certify if the products are up to ISO 13435 standards. We'll continue to update this set of guidelines to provide convenience to enterprises to answer their questions, to chart a path towards exportation for them. I'd also like to take this opportunity to remind Chinese manufacturers, first, go to official and legal agencies. In China, we have 600 approved agencies who are engaged in quality management system. These are not only limited to exportation quality certification. So on our official website, you can find these 600 plus official agencies that you can refer to. Also, the set of guidelines I've mentioned can also be found on our website, on our public account, WeChat account. You can find this set of guidelines. So coming back to your question as to how can enterprises find eligible agencies to help them before their products can be exported to European and American markets. Again, a strong recommendation to the manufacturers, please go to officially approved agencies. Second, reminder for manufacturers is that in this set of guidelines, you can find requirements by the competent authorities in the overseas markets. Medical masks, non-sterilized ones and sterilized ones. Standards can be found in this set of guidelines. If it is non-sterilized masks, as long as you can get the CE label, then you can export to European markets. But for sterilized masks, you can go to the officially approved agencies to help you to go through the CE certification.
So if you need to export to United States, actually you need to comply with FDA's requirements. So you can just log on to or visit the FDA website and get access to such information, and also, of course, the registration. Also, I would like to emphasize the third point, that the exporting Chinese businesses must comply with the origin and the destination countries' requirements and conduct their business accordingly, just as the representatives from Ministry of Commerce and NMPA have already mentioned and emphasized. So for the companies who wish to export their products to the countries in the world, they have to comply both with the Chinese standard requirements but also the destination countries' requirements, and also they should take active approach to respond to the inquiries, in particular to those potentially politicized hype-ups. We need to eliminate such a misunderstanding to safeguard our own interests and also the overall brand image of products from China. Thank you. On the right, on the third row, the lady reporter, please. Thank you. With the health news. At the moment, the pandemic is spreading across the world. So what are the supportive measures China has adopted for the global response? We will have Madam Jiang to take the question. Thank you for your question. I think it's fair to say that as the pandemic is accelerating its pace in the world, more and more countries are being challenged. We relate ourselves to these countries. The virus respects no border, and all mankind belong to the same community. No country can be immune from the virus, and we need to join hands to tackle the virus. Though the situation at home is improving, as you have said, we are still faced with the daunting task to recover our work, our operation, and our business. That's why you found so many Chinese companies are working around the clock to produce supplies to respond to the pandemic. Following the government's overall arrangement, demonstrating our role as a responsible major state in the world, the Ministry of Commerce has tried to address the bottlenecks in the foreign trade and the export of the medical supplies against the pandemic. We have some data. By April the 4th, 54 countries and regions, and also 3 international organizations, signed the commercial procurement contracts with Chinese companies. Also, 74 countries and 10 international organizations are conducting negotiations with Chinese companies for medical supplies procurement. For the next step, we are to accelerate the export of the materials needed by the international community, and on the other hand, we will continue the quality regulation and make China's contribution to the building of a community with shared future of mankind. We will have only time for 2 questions. On the left, on the third row, with the CNR. My question is also about the policy circular from the 3 government agencies. How about the private goods and products which are sent by individual people to other countries, do they also need to satisfy the export requirements? Thank you for your question. Indeed, it is closely related with our daily lives. For private use, so long as the amount is within the reasonable individual use, then it is not subject to the export requirements. So you don't need to provide such quality certificates or the registration licenses. For personal items sent by mail, they are not exported products, and therefore it's not necessary to submit the relevant quality certificates. Also, I'd like to remind the people that following GACC's public notice for products sent to the special regions like Hong Kong, Macau, SARs, there's also the value ceiling, as well as for products sent to other countries, there are also another value ceiling. Okay, let's continue. On the left, on the fourth row, the third lady reporter with Phoenix TV, we noticed that some of the testing kits exported from China are not so accurate. So how about the details? We will have Madam Zhang to take the question. Thank you for your question. If you have followed the media coverage closely, you may have noticed that on March the 30th, in the regular press conference hosted by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, this question has been clearly responded. That is, China has already recommended some companies to foreign buyers, and such quality complaints are not about the companies on this recommended list. And let me also share with you some information about the testing kits exported. First, we have the rapid approval to ensure the adequate supply. We have already approved 25 testing kits, 17 nucleic acid tests, and 8 antibody tests. For the antibody testing kits, the daily capacity is 1.2 million tests. So the overall testing capacity every day is 4.6 million. The second is the quality is assured. Since the outbreak, China has utilized a huge amount of testing kits for clinical diagnosis. Facts have proven that these test kits are very sensitive and specific. They can satisfy the clinical needs, ensuring the pandemic response. Thirdly, it is highly suggested to follow very strictly the instructions on using the testing kits, just as Madam Jiang has mentioned. For testing kits, we have two kinds of testing kits. One is the nucleic acid test, and the other is the antibody test. For antibody test, it is only used for complementary purpose on cases which are already tested by the nucleic acid test and was a suspected case with a negative nucleic acid test. So it's not applicable. It's not recommended for the testing of the general population, and the antibody tests are should only be used by the medical institutions or facilities. So this is something that we want to remind the users, and also we hope the media can help us to promote this information. Recently, the testing kits, the medical surgical masks, the ventilators, and the infrared thermometers altogether 5 categories of such products have their information listed on the website of NMPA. Okay.
I'd like to thank the guest speakers for taking the questions. Many media are very interested in our approaches in prevention of imported cases. So tomorrow we will focus on law-based prevention of imported cases. We will have GACC, CAAC, and NIM's officials to take questions from the media. We look forward to your continuous attention. With that, we conclude today's press conference. Thank you.